Okay, so you guys have a toddler, you work together, you just bought your dream home, you're going to be renovating it together, and you sell real estate together.
Yes.
Okay, do you guys also have a therapist?
No. If I drank 7 glasses of wine and they're like, it was the sulfites, I was like, no, it was the 7 glasses. Burgundian wines in France versus Oregon Pinots versus California Pinots. That everybody deserves a seat at the table because they are different.
Thank you for
Cheers.
being a part of doing some epic shit together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to Homegirl Knows Best. This show is about the people, the stories, and all the messy chaos in between. I'm your host, Jen Cameron. Let's get into it.
My guest today is Kyle Mumma. Kyle is a part of a duo, a husband and wife team, Mumma Homes at the agency Seattle. But we're not talking real estate today. We're talking wine. So welcome, Kyle.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, we're talking wine today. We've got 3 really cool wines to run through from Brown Family Vineyards, and shout out to them and Zach Hilfman for helping us out and letting us taste some good wines today.
Okay, so if you're listening on Spotify, you're not going to see what we have lined up here, but it's pretty cool. The first bottle says do epic shit, but before we jump into it, Kyle, people really want to know, who's Kyle?
I feel like I am someone who's a little bit career ADD, which is like, you look at my track record. I spent a long time in wine. I was in aesthetic medical sales for a while too, and I loved that as well. And I've always loved real estate. So I am a creature of learning. I love to learn new things and do new things. And wine always kept me busy for a long time. So that's the longest in my career, a little shy under a decade. But like you said, I'm a half of a duo, husband and wife duo in real estate. Love working with my spouse and being able to be home. That was the biggest challenge with other careers, as I was gone all the time. We have a daughter, and we have just loved working together and watching our daughter grow and be in the Pacific Northwest. I'm a 7th generation Washingtonian, so this is home.
So let's talk about your wife,
Yeah.
Cara, for a hot sec. I should say the hottie Cara. How did you guys meet?
I met Cara in college at WSU, so we're both Cougs, go Cougs, and I was washing dishes in her sorority is how I met her. And that was when my hair was not here, it was up here. And no, I think it was really cool and unique because I got to see the sorority members in their real environment, how they are, because we're kind of in the background just cooking or washing dishes and doing that kind of thing. And that's how we met. She threw a houseboy appreciation party for us, and yeah, and that's how we kind of like broke the ice and then started dating after that. And then after we graduated from college a couple years later, I proposed and we moved down to Arizona, and I started my wine career in Scottsdale, of all places.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just said hair down there, not here. I want to clarify again. He's talking about his
I'm a bald guy.
head.
Sorry I forget that not everybody's on camera watching this. So let's clarify that. I had hair on top of my head, not much actually, but yeah, now it's moved down to my face and everywhere else probably.
And your girl dad to
Yes.
Sunny, who's
Yes.
literally the cutest toddler
18
ever.
months old and full toddler now. She has learned free will. And so now we're navigating that, but every day is like a new adventure, and she's really fun. She's got a lot of personality, and she's learning new things right now. Saying hi and bye to everybody that she sees on the street is like the flavor of the week. And so we are just enjoying every second of it.
Oh my God, she's so cute. I don't know if this was intentional, but when we were opening the agency Madison Park office,
Yep.
we were in full build out mode.
Yes.
And I had this idea. I didn't want anyone to come in. I wanted the full reveal at the end,
Sneak
keep
peek.
it super secret. And you show up with Sunny.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to let you in when you have her.
Exactly. She opens doors for me most places. But yeah, we had just gotten done with, and I know you were working on this over here, and we had just gotten done with our little co-op preschool in Madison Park. And so I was like, well, Sunny, let's shoot up and see how the office is starting to look. And I didn't think you were going to be there. We were just going to look through the windows. And yeah, you were there, and she got to see, and she's big into anything construction too. She loves it. So that was like a treat for her.
She was busy.
Yeah,
and
busy.
I love those pictures because now we have them forever and she looks like a little contractor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's always in a sweatsuit and she's always walking around. But anything like construction, trucks blows her mind right now. So that was a special morning.
And you and Kara just bought your dream home.
Yes.
Okay. Over by the Arboretum?
Yeah, it's kind of over by the Arboretum, right in between Montlake, Stevens, where they kind of meet together. So North Capitol Hill, Montlake area. And we'll be doing like a lot of social and videos on that too, because we are going to GC it too.
That is a commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have a toddler, you work together, you just bought your dream home, you're going to be renovating it together, and you sell real estate together.
Yes.
Okay, do you guys also have a therapist?
No. No.
I'll get you a great recommendation.
But you know what? Like 95% of the time, I would say it's awesome because you get to hang out with your best friend all day and do some stuff. And then that other 5%, we just kind of like, if we need a little bit of time apart, we just do that. You know, like if we have to just go our separate ways for a second, and then we just come back together and we're rolling again.
I also love that you guys can mix in little date afternoon martini time, sneak out while Sunny's with the nanny.
Totally. Honestly, that's one of the best things is before we started working together, it was hard for us to find. I was traveling a ton and she was working nonstop too. And so even before Sunny, it was kind of hard for us to find like date nights. And we don't really necessarily have date nights. We have day dates, which is like if we have lunch together, which is really cool. So we're always doing projects together or going to see listings or touring. And then when we get to stop and have lunch, like we get to go do things together way more than we did in the past. And even when we're just as busy or more busy than ever before.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'll have to have you guys both come back in about 6 months when you're done with your home renovation and you can tell us everything that you learned in that process. The good,
the bad, the ugly.
That's
perfect. And honestly, there probably will be a lot of that too, but we've done a lot of projects together on previous homes that we've owned. And they've been big projects, kitchens, bathrooms, but I don't think we've ever done anything of this magnitude together, like the full scope of everything. So I'm actually really excited about that because there'll definitely be some learnings, but Kara is actually a really good designer and she doesn't give herself enough credit for it, but she's got awesome taste. And so I'm really excited for everything that she comes up with.
When I saw the house, I had this vision of what it was. And then I went there. It is quintessential Seattle classic with the view, with the big lot. It blew me away.
Yeah.
I was like in house love. So seeing it as it is in its just original state and then understanding that you're going to modernize it. Yeah. That could be a complete HGTV show in itself. So yeah, we've reached out to a couple of people to kind of document some things too, which is going to be fun. But it definitely is. But it's a big project, and the lot is a project a little bit too, right? Because it's the nice thing about this too is it's not going through and ham and egging something that has been updated every 15 years. This is pretty darn close to the original. And what year was it, Bill? 1919. That is wild. Yeah. But it's a dream. Including its original boiler. I saw that thing. I was like, what is that? Yeah. Yeah. It looks like something that should have been like on the Titanic or something, right? Yeah. But it's still kicking. That's part of the renovation that we're going to be doing too, because that thing scares me. But it's like a Home Alone boiler, and then, but yeah, we're really excited for it, but it is a lot to dive right into. And you're also fly fishing is a hobby, golfing. Yeah, yes, I'm a big. What else is Kyle into? I'm a big hobby guy. Now they've been scaled back for the last 18 months for obvious reasons, but I love fly fishing and I love golf. I like just being outside. I think when it comes down to it, like just being outside is kind of fun. We should weave in fly fishing to one of our agency events. 100%. That would be so fun. Yeah. Okay. I've got golf would have to be like putt-putt. But especially like in the summertime, getting a group of people out on the river, like even when Dennis was out there with me, he was like, oh, I get it. Like once you're in the water, like, knee deep in the water, you're like, oh, I get this. This is, I understand especially why people do this. Especially if it's a nice day. Totally. And I'm a fair weather sort of and it was outdoorsman. On Monday. It was on Tuesday. And so it was that beautiful day we had here. And you were gone, but we had a beautiful day here. It was high 70s. It was perfect. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I want to celebrate because it looks like we've got 3 bottles here that you brought from Brown. Yeah. And today is the agency's 4-year anniversary. And I just got back from a week in Montreal. 6-hour flight was delayed an hour. And then we got to Vancouver. We were so excited and we got stuck 3 hours at the border. So I just rolled into the office today, almost forgetting that it was, well, actually I did. I'll be honest. I forgot it was our 4-year anniversary until I got surprised with the cake. So this is really fun to be here together because it is a really cool, momentous moment. And this looks pretty good. So we're starting with some bubbles.
Some bubbles. This is called Do Epic Shit. And this was kind of the brainchild of Andrew Brown. And his kind of slogan is always to go out to all of his employees and people that he knows to just go out and do epic stuff. So he just named it that. And this is a traditional style. So you get the second fermentation in the bottle. And so this is going to be a full-bodied sparkling and not just something light and fruity, but have some weight behind it. So congratulations on 4 years.
Oh, my God. Thank you for being a part of doing some epic shit together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm like, that is a lot of bubble.
Yeah, it's a lot of bubble.
But this is classified as a sparkling champagne or a sparkling wine?
Yeah, so Champagne is is a growing region in France, right? So they get really picky on how you name that, right? But like this is like an American champagne. So really, when they say champagne too, it's done in the traditional style. So instead of just blending the wine and carbonating it and calling it sparkling wine, which a lot of like lower end style sparklings are, right? They're just dosed with some carbonation and they hit the road. Yeah. This comes from having a second fermentation in the bottle and then disgorging. So when they have it corked and then they let off that extra out and then that second fermentation creates those bubbles and that carbonation.
Oh my gosh, this is really yummy.
Yeah, it's super yummy.
Okay.
Yeah, I previewed these last week because I was like, I want to know at least what I'm talking about before we roll into this because it's been a while since I've done this. I was like, I got to get my wine hat back on.
Have you ever been to France to the Champagne region?
I have not.
Okay, that is my dream.
Yeah. I've been close to it, but I haven't been to it actually. And so wine tourism is something that it would be really fun, especially as Sonny gets older. I would love to just go travel these places and go grab cases of wine here and there and ship them back and then have a story to tell. And that's kind of what wine's about, right? Like you open up a good bottle, you're hanging out with people, and then you talk about the wine if you're just casually tasting. And usually there's always a story to that bottle or where you got it. So instead of like going to the grocery store and picking something up, there's always fun when you actually have like, I got this there. It's like instead of bringing back a postcard or a keychain, grab a case of wine because then you have something to talk about with people.
My brother-in-law, Trent, works for a large booze and spirits distributor.
Yep.
And he was the first person to introduce me to Brown Winery before today. And he quickly became a fan. It seems like they've really kind of taken on a following pretty quickly.
I think also too is people in the Northwest are very loyal to the Northwest too. And when you have a Northwest based family that is family owned and operated still, that they latch on to that too. And you can tell that there's care and there's stewardship that goes into not only, I think Brown and Precept in general, the big company that owns them, which is still the Brown family, I think they have like 4,000 acres under vine between Washington, Idaho, and New Mexico as well.
Wow.
And so they're a pretty decent sized grape producer themselves. And there's like a little bit of a difference in where you think of the old world where most wineries have their own vineyards too. There's a different dynamic in Washington, especially where there's a lot of grape growers that maybe not winemakers, and there's this relationship which I think actually makes the wine even better and cooler because you have grape growers wanting to get contracts from really good wines, and so they produce really great grapes, and those contracts can last 5 years or 20 years, whatever that is. So I think it's done really well for the industry up here, and it's obviously exploded over the last 2 decades.
I think a lot of people think that the winery, the Brown or whoever it might be, whatever brand, grows their own grapes, produces their own wine. They don't understand that oftentimes they're buying grapes from these different vineyards.
Totally.
Right?
In some cases, they are estate grown. Like, so if you have an estate winery, the grapes are grown on property and made in the facility. But it just depends on the size and the brand. And with different brands, they may make something at their estate or they may outsource something else for one of their different varietals or something like that, you know. But there's regulations and laws on how much you can outsource to be still called this, that, or the other. But yeah, I think there's a really special relationship between the growers and the winemakers in the state of Washington that I've got to see over the last couple of decades, and that's been fun to watch that industry grow. being from Eastern Washington, growing up there and seeing in my lifetime, in my childhood and adolescence, some cherry orchards and apple orchards be replaced by vines, right? And vineyards, in like real time, where the Columbia River Basin was just all apples and cherries and and some other stone fruits, right? Peaches but all through there was just that. And now you drive through Chelan and it's all grapes. It's all grapes.
You and I were talking about something that people really aren't aware of, which is Washington State as a wine producer, the income that it generates for our state and where we rank within the U.S. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Totally. So grape growing themselves, I think the number today is around 300 million in just what the actual like produce is, right? Like of the commodity of just grapes. But when you talk about wine and the business of wine and sales throughout the state and what it generates, I think it's 10.5 billion, just right under that. So we're talking big business here too. So, and I think we're either second or third. I believe we're second behind California, obviously. And then you pop right up to the Northwest. And then Oregon has been growing the same way we have been in the last 30, 40 years too. Their whole wine scene in Newburgh, and then really destinations for people to come, where it used to just be Napa and Sonoma, but now you have to add on Oregon and Washington. And especially we have a different kind of thing that's unique to other places as well, is a lot of the grapes are grown mostly 95% east of the mountains, right? And so, but all of our tasting rooms is where our population base is. So Woodinville is the epicenter of that. Woodinville, Walla Walla. So there's some stuff in Walla Walla and Spokane, obviously, but a bunch of tasting rooms for wineries that are east of the mountains all are located right in our backyard here.
I know, we can just party on down there.
Exactly. And now we have a hotel. So
I know.
That's a big thing.
There.
Yeah.
Somme.
The Somme is great.
I want to book a bunch of the cabanas on the roof this summer, and we can do some culture things there.
Well, that's something that as this is building, you need new infrastructure, right? And we didn't really have that for and Woodinville got sleepy right at like 5 p.m. It's like, dinner reservations start at 6 and you're kind of like tasting rooms close at 4. Dinner doesn't till 6. Like, what am I doing for these 2 hours?
Sleeping, napping.
Exactly. Taking your afternoon siesta after a day of wine tasting, right? And that is usually the doctor's note for that. But I think having a hotel there really gives Woodinville some staying power in wine tourism. And I don't think that's the last one probably either. That's just the first. So Airbnbs were obviously really popular through there. But now that we have a hotel, this is a place where people can travel from anywhere in the world. And
it's cool because you've got the Woodinville wine region, right? You can do tastings, like you said, go to the hotel, restaurants. You can also go down to Soto.
Totally.
In that area. And I just found a couple extra little spots in Georgetown recently.
Totally.
And so if you're not
Charles
familiar,
Smith's place
we're
is down
talking
there.
about
Jet City down there as well. So there's a ton of stuff like just around the area that is just wine centric.
Okay, so we've had this celebratory wine, and I'm not quite finished, but I just got back from vacation. So today was going to be the first day I wasn't going to have any cocktails, but we got to go.
Too bad.
We're celebrating today. We're celebrating today. And anyways, who am I kidding? Literally, it's Friday.
Yeah. Next, we're going to talk about, it's a white blend. It's Sauv Blanc Pinot Gris. And this is called Gigi's Garden. And this is Andrew Brown's grandma. And
I was going to go, Gigi, this is a quick clue that this is a grandma.
This is like in...
By the way, these chairs.
I know. I'm trying my best not to swivel.
We should just get into it and have some fun because there's nothing I could do about this.
But this one is definitely, when I tasted it, I was like, oh, this is dangerous in the summertime. This is for a backyard occasion. This is like when it's nice outside, drink it. It's an easy drinking wine. They put it in liter bottles, which I love, instead of 750. So it's like a little bit more. And so it's, it's like, oh, I only had a couple of glasses. I only drank half the bottle of wine. It's a little bit more than normal. But this is a super fun, easygoing, easy to get into wine. And by the way, I didn't mention this, I don't think, but these are all 90-point plus wines.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the point system and is that important, not important? Is it accurate? Like,
I think depending on who is rating wines is obviously a scale on what, if it's Wine Spectator or James Suckling, or there's a lot of really good like trusted point systems, right? On people that review wine and give it points, or double gold if it's in a competition or something like that. But what I do think has changed in the wine industry in the last 10, 15, 20 years is that the competition has gotten so much better because there's so much more wine being produced that like you're able to go find good wine and it doesn't have to be like gatekept behind, and like you can drink good wine at everyday decent costs, right? You don't have to spend $100 on a bottle of wine to be a good bottle of wine. There's really good bottles of wine for 15, 20 bucks. I used to say like 12, but now with inflation, we're like, it's 15, 20 bucks.
I've never met a good $15 chuck.
Okay. Well,
so you would have to educate me on this.
So I think it's more important to go find growing region. And if you find a winemaker that has something that you like, a lot of times there's something that maybe they've made or done something and they make their style of wine wherever they go. It's like they can't help themselves, right? Like if you're a really good winemaker and you're tasked on making $200 bottles of wine, if you are tasked to make a $50 or $40 bottle of wine, they can't help themselves. They make really good wine. You know what I mean? So it's like finding that there's a lot of gems out there. And, you know, Wine Spectator puts out best buys every single year, and they're really good. Like if best under this or best under that. And there's a lot of producers or new winemakers that come into the arena that really just deliver on stuff. And also it can be a part of the harvest too. It goes back to the grape growers too. So if they have a great harvest and a great producing grape, then that's going to show in that vintage that year. So everything has to kind of work symbiotically to make a really good wine.
The effect of sulfites in wine, because you hear people all the time talk about red wine, sulfites, and headaches.
A lot of times people are getting headaches from things that they're drinking wines that have too much, but also that have residual sugar in them too. So if they're like, oh, I was drinking red wine, but I would look at what they're drinking and it's like a sweet red blend. It's like, yeah, like that's like drinking fruit punch, you know, spiked with alcohol,
Sangria.
You know, exactly. And so sometimes I think they blame sulfites, and that's a real thing, but like sometimes they blame that, but usually a lot of times it's residual sugar. So if there's a sweeter red blend, a lot of times the sugar is what's going to get you in the hangover, right? So if you're drinking sweet drinks, like if you can remember back to your times of drinking like sweet mixed drinks growing up, it's like that's what you felt terrible the day after, right?
I was much younger when I would do that.
Right.
I don't do that. I don't mix like fruity cocktails or anything. I don't do any of that. You get to this age and your tolerance is so much smaller.
I have to plan out what I'm going to drink so I can't have a hangover anymore, because 6 a.m. comes every day and sunny's up. So it's like you can't be hungover. It doesn't matter. But I think there are definitely people that are more sensitive to it for sure. But I think a lot of times they get the bad rap for maybe some residual sugar.
Probably.
Or if I drank 7 glasses of wine and they're like, it was the sulfites. I was like, no, it was the 7 glasses.
Oh my God.
And you're dehydrated.
I've always primarily loved red wine, and I've never been a white wine lover.
Yeah.
I was waiting my whole life. Somebody make me a believer.
Yeah.
And about 6 months ago, I went to Sonoma, and I was on a tour with a girlfriend of mine and another couple. And our guide was a friend of theirs who is a winemaker.
Okay.
So he took us to all of his favorite places.
Yeah.
Everything was a hit.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to go with someone who makes $100, $200 bottles themselves, they're going to know.
Yeah.
And they took us to a specific winery where I had my first Chardonnay, and I was like, I'm literally drinking butter, cotton candy. I don't know what this is. Apples. What is this? It was the most delicious wine. I'm now a believer.
I think you just have to find the right especially like there's ABC drinkers, anything but Chard. Like they'll say, you know, they're like, I don't like Chardonnay. But Chardonnay has a stylistic breadth that is very wide. So you can have like stainless steel Chardonnay, never touches any oak, right? And it's going to be really minerally, right? It's not going to have that rounded feel. And then you have the butter bombs on the opposite end that go through like a lot of malolactic fermentation that are going to feel like you're eating a bag of popcorn with your Chardonnay, right? Yeah. So, and I mean, there's brands called popcorn because it's like they're leaning on that buttery taste, right? So there's a really big breadth of what Chardonnay can do and be and style. And I think just finding what you resonate with is like a part of like finding, I think there's a good grape for everybody, and both reds and whites. You just got to keep searching until you find it.
I find that people are one or the other. Predominantly, maybe they might have an occasional glass of red or white, but they'll be kind of on the other side
I agree.
as their primary.
I agree with that. Like, and I think that there's people that find a varietal that they really like and they kind of stick to it. I really like super Tuscans. Like, I like big food wines. So they're like big, and they're maybe a little bit overbearing if you're just drinking them as wine, but like pairing wine with food is some of the best thing. And there's no rules to, but like there's guidelines, but whatever you want to drink with whatever you want to eat. Always thought that was so funny. It was like, you pair this with this. It's like, I want to drink this and I want to eat this, and that's what I'm going to do. So it doesn't really matter what the rules are, right? But I think that, I think people resonate to things or they lean into things that they like. And if you find a varietal that you like, you kind of start exploring things that are maybe adjacent to that too. And that's kind of how you find other things too. It's like, oh, if you really like a big cab, and then you find some like single varietal Cab Franc or some other things and some different varietals, you're like, oh, okay, this is the family I kind of want to live in, and this is what I like to drink, right? So, I like just Italian wines in general are kind of my favorite because they are big food wines, right? So any kind of like Nebbiolo, Amarones, Barolos, those are my kind of go-to wines that I like to keep in the house because they pair really well with food.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I moved to New York City, I really went away from Washington wine because you can hardly find it. And so I was drinking, mostly Italian wines.
Yeah.
When I was in Quebec City last week.
You're closer to Italy than you are Washington at that point, almost,
Totally. And in Quebec, we were having a conversation with, our wait staff, and they talking about our experience, which was fantastic. And we were having champagne, and we started talking. My husband was asking about red wine. He doesn't drink, but he knows wines well, probably from back in the day. But he was asking about certain Washington wines, and they said, oh, yes, we used to serve in the restaurant this one and this one, beautiful high-end wines, but we don't anymore because of the tariffs.
Yeah.
And he said, so now we're really leaning into these,
European,
Italian wines,
old world
French
wines. Yeah.
So we went on our last night in Quebec City to this restaurant, and they came out with the sommelier.
Yeah.
I recommend, and I couldn't read the menu. It was in French.
Yeah.
And I said, do you have recommendations on here? I don't know any of these wines. He said, this Pinot is delicious. My family went to France. We are the only restaurant in all of Quebec City that has...
To get an allocation.
Yes. And so I don't like Pinot.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be polite, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take his recommendation. It was literally one of the best wines I've had in my life. So I'm noticing, like, you have these ideas.
I think, too, that there's so much wine out there. You have an idea because maybe you had one Pinot that you didn't like, and you're just like, you put
Not
Pinot,
for me.
You put Pinot in a box, and it's like this. But that's also another great varietal that has some very significant style differences between Burgundian wines in France versus Oregon Pinots versus California Pinots. I think they're different styles. Everybody deserves a seat at the table because they are different. Like, I really like Oregon Pinots because they're smoky and they're earthy, and it kind of like, there's something about it. Like King Estate makes a really good, just like estate Pinot that I really like, and then Domaine Serene, Domaine Drouin. There's a lot of things in Oregon that are good wines, and then small labels too. And then there's a ton of stuff. Anything old world I like too. I just kind of dig old world wines.
I also noticed that when I came back after being gone for 4 years, and I started trying Washington wines again, there was this familiarity that instantly I was like, oh, I'm home.
Yeah.
Because it's like an earthiness.
Totally.
That you only get here.
Well, that is why AVAs are called AVAs, because they're distinct growing areas, and there's differences in soil and climate and what it does to the grapes and what it does to stress the roots out and how grapes grow. So I think that that's something that really is geographically tied to grapes as well. So and there's people that have forgotten more than I know about this or will ever know about this. But, in Washington, we have 21 AVAs now.
What's an AVA?
AVA. Why am I blanking on?
We'll Google it.
We'll Google
Whatever,
it.
everybody go find it. Kyle, I'm not editing that out.
Yeah, blanking in my head. Anyway, it is a designated area. Like Columbia Valley is the overarching AVA in Washington, but then there's sub-AVAs inside inside that AVA, like the Washington Burn, or there's Horse Heaven Hills, and those are all in Columbia AVA. But then there's something else that makes that area even more distinct. So they have their own growing area, and really that goes to showing the differences in wine. But it's also from a business standpoint, it's like, hey, we're a part of this, right? Yeah. It's like in the old world, it's like you're not premier cru or first, second, or third growth. It's like you have to be at certain standards to make this, that, and the other. We do it a little bit differently than the old world system, but also there's usually a bigger AVA, and then there's sub AVAs that are smaller that may be a little bit more distinct too as well.
Amazing. Well, Do Epic Shit is a winner, so I just like the name of it.
Yeah, it's a really good bottle of bubbly. Okay. I need to work. No, 200 million, Jen. What are we talking about here?
What's your fuck you money?
See how they've got other options.
What are the other options?
Shrooms.
I need an end to this day. I've been in this house for 30 days.
You're just going to leave it up for grabs, and it's going to be Game of Thrones in the next.
Actually.
If you've made it this far, thanks for listening, and thanks to my guest. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See ya!